My self-diagnosed depression, what really helped me was getting out of the house. It's so important to get out of the house. And okay, so the healing process is something that people don't really talk about either. And it could be because it varies from person to person. So I was pumping every 2 to 3 hours. Do you know how tiring that is? It's exhausting, okay? Or if you are pregnant, you shouldn't be nursing or pumping because it can cause contractions. Hi everyone, I'm Gwen of Daily Davis, and I'm here because I just want to talk about some things I wish I knew as a first-time mom that no one really talks about. And well, at least they didn't talk about it around me, right? I moved to South Carolina. We got married in March and we moved here in November of 2015. So I've been here ever since then, but I basically left my whole life back home. So I was in a new life, new people, new environment. And it was definitely a big change for me. A great change, like I feel like I needed it. We'll tell that story one day about, why we came and all of that. But for today, we're just gonna talk about motherhood and things that I wish I knew. Okay, so when I first moved here, my environment is different, right? So I went to church, I got a job, and so I didn't know that many people who had children. So let's start there. And then back home, the people that were more so in my environment were church members because we were in church all the time. I had 3 friends who I talked to, but not daily, who had kids. And so, I didn't have a lot of people around me who had kids, right? So it was challenging. But anyway, so I had my first child, and one of the first things I want to say is that every child is different. Another thing I wish I knew about was the stress of having everything for the baby. Like, you really don't need that much for the baby. The baby doesn't know that they need these things. They're a tiny little human. They don't know that they need a crib because they really don't need one at first. All of mine stayed in the bassinet. Actually, my oldest, he never had a crib. He went straight from his bassinet to a bed. So he was in a twin size bed. One of our family members offered their bed to us, their twin size, and we were like, sure. So we just put the little rails on it. He slept in the bed. Perfect little thing. And my daughter, she did the same thing. Actually, no, she had a toddler bed, but she slept in the bassinet until she was 1, and I think my parents bought her a toddler bed. And so we actually didn't have our first crib until my 3rd child. So they're not important. If people come to your house, they're not concerned about if the baby has a crib or not. I mean, they might be, but if they are that concerned, then they can buy you a crib. But again, it's just a matter of what you want. What do you think is best for you and your child? I know people who said, oh, y'all should get a double stroller. Not that it won't hurt, but it wasn't that necessary. Yes, I had all of my kids back to back, but we weren't going anywhere like that to need a double stroller. So to this day, I've never had a double stroller, but there's nothing wrong with having one. It's just I wasn't stressed about not having one just because everyone was saying, oh, you should have a double stroller. For what? Like, my kids are fine. It's absolutely nothing wrong with having a lot of things, but what I'm saying is that the baby does not need all of this stuff, right? They don't need a changing table. You could change them on your lap. You could change them on the couch. You could change them on the bed. You could change them in the crib, but that might hurt depending on how low you have to bend down. Yeah, you really don't need a lot of things. And sure, they can help simplify life. They can be great additions to your baby collection, but they're just not necessary. And I think that's very important because a lot of times us new moms stress about things that we don't have, and it's okay. Like, you have to decide what is the best for your family and for your situation, and not try to keep up with whatever everybody else is doing. I have 5 kids. Like, I can't buy my kids all this stuff, whereas someone who has 1 child or 2 children, they want to go all out. It's fine. I found that having a clean home or a clean area helps me mentally. Like, I can think better, I can focus better, I can just be a better me. So if you have time to clean, I encourage it, yes. I think I was so stressed out about how my house looked. And don't get me wrong, like, I definitely think it's important to, you know, try to keep your living room space clean, your kitchen clean, things like that. But if you can't get to it, don't stress about it. Like, people shouldn't be coming over anyway, unless they call, especially if you're nursing. And they shouldn't be coming over unless they're willing to help. Like, if they're gonna help, great, yeah, come over. And, you know, especially if you know that the people won't judge you. But if they're coming over to be nosy to see how your house looks, then they're probably not really, yeah, you get what I'm saying. Breastfeeding is so tiring. I wish I knew with my son how tiring breastfeeding would be. It is exhausting, okay? And so let's talk about breastfeeding really quick if you're going to breastfeed. But let me also say this. If you're not able to breastfeed, that's totally fine. I hate to keep saying this, but you don't get an award for breastfeeding. Like, if you're not able to produce, don't stress about it. But if you are able to produce, it's a very rewarding experience. Like, I've breastfed all of my children. And so here are some things I wish I knew about breastfeeding, right? Like, it's really tiring, but what can contribute to the exhaustion is not only not having enough sleep, but not drinking your water. That's what this is. And then not also eating. And so as a new mom, if you're tired all the time, you're probably just throwing stuff in your mouth because, you know, you're tired and you don't feel like making a lunch or breakfast or a dinner. Like, you don't feel like it. So you just throw in snacks or whatever you can find that's, you know, ready-made. So as far as nutrition, it's important to, I was talking to one of my friends and I said, a good thing to ask people for when they say, hey, what do you need? Is gift cards to your favorite restaurants, okay? Like, ask for gift cards, tell them your favorite restaurants, or you could just ask for like a regular gift card, right? Like I don't know what they're called. I want to say vanilla gift cards, but I don't know what they're called. But those are really good to have. So that way when you come home, you could just order from your favorite restaurant, or your spouse can go get it, or whoever is helping you can go get it, or you can have it delivered. So that helps a lot if you would have some gift cards. I didn't have anybody to cook for me, so my husband was a cook for the first 2 pregnancies, and then by the 3rd one, it was like he was trying to help with the other children. I remember at one point we were both sick, you know, I had a fever, all this. So having a gift card can help, or having like little ready-made dinners can help, like frozen dinners, you know, things like that. If you don't have people to cook for you, gift cards are awesome. But going back to breastfeeding, I just need to do a whole separate video on breastfeeding tips and tricks and things like that, because it is a lot. It's a lot of work, but what is rewarding is that, you know, you're giving something that no one else can give your child. And, well, I mean, you can pay for it, but this is something that God gave us. And with that, I know there's still somewhat of a shame when it comes to breastfeeding. I've heard people say things like, I don't want to breastfeed, because it is kind of weird if you look down at your baby girl and it's like, but how I had to look at it was that God gave them to me for this. Like, God gave me my breasts for the purpose of feeding my children, right? And so I'm going to do that, and I'm not going to feel ashamed about it. And I also supplemented because my first son, like I said, he was small, so we were trying to get his weight up, and the doctor suggested that we do formula and pump, and I was a pumping machine, y'all. So he had the little ready-made milks for maybe like a week or 2, I think 2 weeks for him. And what we would do is we would give him the bottle, and then we would the next feeding he would drink my milk. And then we switched to just breast milk. Okay, so that kind of leads me to my next point of, y'all, I was pumping every 2 to 3 hours. Do you know how tiring that is? It's exhausting, okay? because I was doing it even in the middle of the night. So I was already a night owl. Like, I would stay up to 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, no problem. Wake up 5, 6 o'clock. Like, yeah, it's not good. I don't do that now. I can't, but I used to do that. And so it switched from, well, no. So it went to me being up at 12 o'clock at night. Like, I would go to sleep. I would stay up. Sometimes I would wait up till 12 o'clock so I could do my 12 o'clock pump, go to sleep, and I'll be up again at 2 or 2:30 in the morning to pump again. Y'all, I was tired, okay? But this is what I did, because if I didn't, especially in the beginning stages, you have so much milk coming in, and I was what they consider an overproducer. So I didn't know this, right? I was just happy. It's like, oh, you have all that milk. That's great. Like, people saying, oh, that's great. You have all that milk. And I'm like, yeah, you know, I felt great about it. I had my little storage. I mean, my freezer full of frozen milk. Like, yeah, let's do this, right? It was tiring. And so what ended up happening was my son was really small. So when he would nurse, he wouldn't nurse long. And I didn't know why. And I didn't realize why until the second child. And I had an inkling, like, I'm like, it might be too much coming out for him, but I didn't know how to correct it. So yeah, I'm gonna have to probably do another whole nother video about that, because it can be a lot for a small child who's drinking, like, you know, they have the little numbers on the nipples for the flow of the milk. And so I didn't realize that it was just too much coming out for him, right? And so he's the only one of my children who stopped actually breastfeeding or nursing at 3 months. Like, he was just like over it. So, which made it hard on me, because now I have to pump. Like, I don't have any other choice but to pump. So, and then trying to get pregnant with another one, I didn't know that first. I didn't know that when you're nursing, it's a form of birth control, right? So I was ready. After my son was born, I was like, let's do this. Let's have baby number 2. Like, let's jump right in. And it was like, pause. No, you can't do that. Oh, wait, why? Because breastfeeding is a form of birth control. What? So basically what I started doing was I did some research, and they said you can slow your milk down. And so that's what I started doing. And then I realized how easy it is to actually slow your milk down. So I went from pumping every 2 to 3 hours. And by this time, I was in month 6 or 7 when I said, okay, I'm ready to slow it down. But I didn't want to stop nursing him, right? Like, I wanted to go the first year. So by this time, I was pumping every 4 hours. And I think that's normal, because I was back to work and all that. I think that's the normal. So then my milk finally slowed down. I got my first cycle, and right after that cycle, I was pregnant. Yay! Wait a minute. You can't nurse anymore? Like, I had to stop pumping? Why? So that's another thing I didn't know, is that if you're nursing, you shouldn't, or if you are pregnant, you shouldn't be nursing or pumping, because it can cause contractions. Now, I don't know if it's still like that now, but it has been like that. It was like that with my last son too. That's what I was told. So I think it's still the same, that if you are pregnant, you cannot nurse. Bummer. So, but thankfully my son still had milk. So, and two, I had already started supplementing. So we were mixing the milk because I wanted him to be able to transition to vitamin D milk easy, like, you know, just no issues. Yeah, I kind of covered a lot right there, but I want to go back to overflow of milk and how it's too much. So a way that you can help the milk to not like pour out is to lay flat on your back and like let them nurse, because they're going to get the milk regardless. Or you can do you can lay down sideways and let them nurse with like you laying and then them laying right in front of you. So you can do it that way. Okay, and with breastfeeding, vitamin D is so important. But I think, I'm not gonna say I think, vitamin D, if you have low vitamin D levels, it's not good. Whether you're pregnant, not pregnant, whatever, it's just not good. I'm not saying, you'll just be able to tell the difference, and if you're really tired, you won't be as tired if your vitamin D levels are good. So I would definitely talk to your doctor about that, and maybe you can do supplements. That's what I do. I still take supplements of vitamin D, just so I won't be so exhausted and tired. I could definitely tell the difference if I've had vitamin D versus not having vitamin D. Another thing I wish I knew as a first-time mom is baby showers. So people say, what should I put on my list for a baby shower? Whatever you want to put, right? Like, it's up to you, because at the end of the day, you're going to get what you get, and what you don't get, you're going to have to end up buying anyway. I do suggest asking for just gift cards, because you just don't know what you will need. However, some people do want a registry, but especially with mothers, I would just say, just let them get what they want to give you. Or you can ask mothers what they highly recommend, and you can put that on your registry. But the reason I say just let people give you whatever is because a lot of things that I got, I didn't even know I needed until it was in that moment. Like the vaporizer, like I'm not thinking about that. I don't have any children. I'm not thinking about needing a vaporizer. Another thing I'm gonna go get in a few minutes is a life changer. If anybody says, what product would you suggest for a first-time mom? I'm going to show you. It's like the best thing ever for runny nose season or snotty nose season. Babies don't like it, but actually no. I had 2 of my babies who really didn't mind it. Just like some babies love medicine and some don't. 2 of my children would sit right there and let me. But I'm gonna go get that in a second. But yeah, so it's very important to, I say do it all. Like some people say, oh, you should only ask for diapers and wipes for if you're on baby number 3 or 4. Not necessarily, because baby 3 and 4 might need clothes too, or they might need bedding, or they might need different things. So yes, it's nothing wrong with having a diapers and wipes shower, but I wouldn't completely tell people I only want diapers and wipes. This is me now. I'm not, do what you want to do, but I wouldn't tell people I only need diapers and wipes, because they might buy you something that you didn't even know existed, and it might be the best thing ever, right? So yeah, just my advice is to accept whatever people want to give you. And that way, but it is good to have a registry, because you will find that people will purchase things off the registry that you don't have to purchase. But yeah, and then like things that these are some things that I didn't need at all, like white warmer. I had one. Bottle warmer. The little cleaning things for the bottles, I just never used them. They work. I use them maybe once or twice. I like to hand wash my bottles, and that's what I do. But it's nothing wrong with a steamer. I just didn't really have time to put this. Yeah. So Mom, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, but thank you for buying one for me. Maybe I can use it for some other bottles. But yeah, those are just a few things. If you made it this far, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have any things that you want me to talk about, or any questions that you might have, I don't have all the answers, but I can offer suggestions of what has worked for us, or what has worked for me as a mom of 5. Are y'all ready for this? Da, 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 da. I love this thing. It's so awesome. Like, it's the best thing ever. I'm gonna link it, but it's NoseFrida's what is it called? The name is escaping me. NoseSuction. I'm just gonna put it up here, but yeah, it's awesome, y'all. This is like the best thing. And what you do, you just put this in your mouth, and let's say this is their nose. Just put it in their nose, at the tip of their nose, and suck it up. Suck it up. This is like the best thing ever. I have tried what is it called? The electric ones, but they work. They just don't work as good. I think the babies like the noise maybe, but they don't work as good, but they do work. So if your little one likes the noise, go for it. But these are awesome. Someone bought this for me as a gift, and see, this is what I'm talking about. Somebody bought this for me as a gift at the first baby shower, and I didn't even, like, I had it sitting somewhere in a little container, and I just happened to notice it because I think I was cleaning, and I pulled it out, and it was like, what's this? And I tried it, and I was like, oh, it's like a big epiphany of excitement, because this is like literally so awesome for sucking out the boogers and the snot, and you know, because they can't blow their nose, so this works great. It just pulls it right on out of there, and you're on your merry little way. So they give you saline drops. I think I had a saline drop that came with mine too, I'm not sure, but some of them come with them and some of them don't. There are other brands now that have this that work really good too. I want to say Safety First is one of those brands. I've tried that one, and I like that one too, but NoseFrida is definitely the way to go. They do have like other off-brands, but yeah, definitely NoseFrida, okay? It's awesome. It's like literally the best. And okay, so the healing process is something that people don't really talk about either, and it could be because it varies from person to person. So I will say that it really depends, because I tore with all 5 of mine, even with the 4-pound baby. I tore with him as well. So, and I had stitches with all except for one. I think it was the 3rd pregnancy. I didn't have stitches. I didn't have to have stitches for that one because she said I tore, but it wasn't enough to stitch it. So yeah, so the healing process can vary from person to person. It could depend on how many kids you have. It could depend on your delivery. It can depend on various things, but it's just something that people don't really talk about, is the process of healing. But what I can say helped me through that process was the fact that I knew it wouldn't always be like this, right? Like, you know, eventually you're going to be better. You might not be back to your old self because you're a new person somewhat, because you do have a new baby to take care of, and then the more kids you have, yeah. And I used to say, oh, I want to lose weight so I can get back into my clothes, but you know, styles change and sometimes you don't want those clothes anymore. So now I just want to lose weight just to be a healthier me. So that's something I wish I knew as well, as about the healing process and what that looks like. Yeah, with Will, I had no idea that you bled that long. I don't know if it's a question I just didn't think to ask. I don't know. I had no idea that I would be bleeding that long. One of the last things I want to talk about is that every child is different. So I say that because it's good. It's great to take advice from other people, right? Like it helps to get advice from other people, but they don't know everything specifically for your child. And I have 5 children and I still don't know everything. Like, I can offer suggestions to you as to why your baby may be crying, but I really don't know. And so one thing I tell you might work and another thing might not. So I have found with mine that they cry if they have gas. Like if they have really bad gas, they'll cry. And what works awesome for gas, or if they're constipated, is to push their legs up to their, if I had a doll baby, I would show y'all. I don't see any doll babies, but you basically just push their knees up to their stomach. And you can do a diagonal, you can do it diagonally, one at a time. Like, you know, push their legs up to their stomach one at a time, or you can do it both legs at the same time, and you'll probably start to hear gas come out, and then you'll know. And they might even calm down. I find mine, they'll calm down, they'll stop the crying. And what I used to do was hold their legs up so that they could poop. I don't do that anymore because I learned that, or bowel movement. Well, we could say poop, right? We could say poop. They poop. But they would have a bowel movement, and so sometimes I would literally sit there for 20 to 30 minutes and hold their knees up to their stomach until they had a bowel movement. I mean, it worked, but I don't do that anymore. So now I just hold their knees up to their stomach, and they will pass the gas, and eventually they'll pass the poop. So it does help tremendously. If they seem like they're in a lot of pain, gas drops are awesome. The Walmart Parent Choice brand is great. The Mollicone, I think I'm saying that right, that works really good too. But I found that the Parent Choice works just as fine. So that helps. It helps tremendously with bowel movements. We've tried probiotics, we tried gas drops, we tried, not gas drops, we tried gripe water. I'm not saying gripe water doesn't work, because I'm sure it works for some other things. I'm just saying it did not work for us. And I only purchased gripe water for my first child. And after that, it was like, I found out about gas drops, and what happened was one of my friends gave it to me as a baby shower gift, and I was like, thank you. So yeah, positive people are so important after you have a newborn. People who tell you you're doing a great job, people who, just motivate you, pick you up, because you can suffer with postpartum depression. I have not been diagnosed with postpartum depression. I do feel like I had it. I feel like it got better with each pregnancy because I knew what to do. But postpartum depression is very real. So if you feel like you are experiencing that, then I would highly suggest you talk to a professional, a doctor, and see what they say or what they recommend. With my self-diagnosed depression, what really helped me was getting out of the house. It's so important to get out of the house, get your vitamin D if you can, right? So you have to go out for doctor's visits. I encourage you to walk outside. With my third child, I had her 3 days before Christmas. So it was very cold here. And so basically I would just open the windows. Opening the windows, looking outside, that helped me tremendously. It just helps you to get your mind off of the four walls that you're in. And also, like, she was my third child, right? So I had two other little ones. I had a 3-year-old and 2-year-old. My daughter had just turned 2. They're a month apart. 2 years and a month apart. So she had just turned 2. So I had 2 little babies, and that's a lot. Another thing too is to, if you can, record all the information that they tell you before you leave. I didn't do that until Matthew. And honestly, people say, oh, well, you have so many kids, you already know all these things. But yeah, you forget because you're tired, I'm tired. I'm delirious. I'm not getting enough sleep. I also have 4 other people I had to tend to. So yeah, I forgot a lot of that information. So I recorded it so I could remember when I got home, or, play it again when I got home, because a lot of things that they're telling you, if your partner's not paying attention either, then that's really just not helping at all. So that's something that I wish I knew to record. A lot of the information, because it is a lot of information that they tell you about Social Security, their first appointment, just a lot of different things that they're telling you. And there's Matthew, so I'm gonna go grab him. But again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Matt, say hi. Say hi. Say hi. He's not saying hi. Matt, say hi. At least he looked right. You looking? Oh, Matt, we gotta clean your nose.